hello. We are live.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we have the lovely Lisa. We got Mr. Achilles
Lisa,
with us, and we got the lovely
Achilles.
starter runner and everything and beyond, and Miss Jordan with us today.
I seem super fun.
You know what I'm saying? And of course, you got Mike Blue here with you. So Jordan, what's our topic for today?
Today we are navigating emasculation and effeminization in relationships. Dum, ba, ba.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So, what were you gonna say?
No. You go ahead. You go ahead. It was like, yeah, that
Okay,
sounds like a big word, but okay, let's get
it is. So I just
the
wanted to start
last.
off by
I'm not gonna lie, the
defining
last one
them.
got me a little bit. I was just like effeminization. I was like, how do I use that in a
Yes,
sentence? Okay.
that's the feminine version of emasculation. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay. Explain. Yeah.
Effeminization.
Explain that in the thing. Explain that because I'm like I don't see how that works. But okay.
Right. Okay, so emasculation is the act of making a person feel less masculine, right? Effeminization, right, is the act of making a person feel less feminine. So generally speaking, emasculation would happen to males or masculine people. Effeminization would happen to feminine people in relationship dynamics, right? And so it can be something that is outright, like I'm doing this obviously, or it could be something that is subtle, but it could be anything from like undermining somebody's confidence, constantly talking about like belittling their abilities, their decision makings, their self-esteem. Could be financial control. That's a big one in effeminization, or actually both of them. If you have a partner that is taking away your financial independence, they monitor all of the financial stuff, and you have no access to it. Right? Public humiliation. That's another one. Withholding intimacy. So no sex for you until you do what I want you to do. Right?
Mm-mm,
Um,
mm-mm.
Questioning that person's masculinity or femininity, like, oh, you're not masculine or feminine because you don't do X, Y, and Z. Comparing the partner to other people, ignoring their opinions and feelings, talking down to them, talking in a condescending, that's the word I was looking for, condescending tone. And then the last one would be exerting dominance, which is specific to, well, it really could be with either one, because you could have a female partner who is dominant or a male partner who is dominant. So, yes, so that is emasculation and effeminization. Everybody got it? We're good? We're clear?
Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
I just
Thank you.
couldn't help but to feel like I meet some of those things of effeminization, and I have
Oh,
definitely been emasculated in my own right, and I didn't
oh.
like it. I didn't like it. So,
And how
Well,
did
you
that
know
make you
what?
feel?
Let's dive
What?
into that.
Tell,
Yeah,
tell us your
let's
story.
dive on it.
What happened? What happened to you,
Story
Mikey?
time.
um, I was with somebody in an intimate nature, and the way they was just putting it on me just made me feel
Just reset.
it's none of your business. Anyways, so the way it went down was it was like I'm with the person, and they climbed on top, and they went to shoving my face down,
Hmm.
and they just went him, and I'm over here like, hey, wait, move your hand up. It was
So
good,
that
but I didn't feel
that
right
was that like
afterward.
So there's a part of you
dominance
that
part,
enjoyed.
No,
right?
I enjoyed it a little bit, but then afterwards, when I thought about it, I was like, yo, I think
But later you thought about.
I thought about it
Later.
afterwards, and it was just like it's kind of emasculating for me because it was like I was trying to move my head up, and they told me to shut up. It was like shut up and take it. I was like, I mean,
That is very dominant.
it's hard. It's hard. it's it's hard to. Oh yeah, it's hard to take that. Oh Jesus, when I think about it, oh my God,
It's
oh my God.
okay.
Oh,
It's
Uh,
okay.
yeah,
got
it was
emotional.
just a tad bit emotional. He's like, while it was funny at the same time, that I look back at it, I was like, I really got tried. If I had on pearls, I would have grabbed it at the time. That's how much it hit me. Let me stop. Oh God. I was telling Jordan about it. She was busting out laughing. It was just like too funny for her. And you just imagine my face like, oh, it's just too much. It's too much.
Well,
Oh,
thank you for that.
there was that experience. So yeah.
And
But yeah,
that's,
enough of
I
my
could
story.
imagine Like that kind of goes. That's in like twofold because that one aspect of that would be like exerting dominance, right? Because she was literally dominating your physical being, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But then the other aspect of that could be the like ignoring your feelings because you were like, "Hey, can we stop? Can we get a moment?" And she was like, "No, take this." That's very intense.
I ain't gonna lie. I like the effort and the aggressiveness. I ain't gonna lie, it was a turn on. However, after I reflected upon it, I do realize that there was a hint of demasculization in that effort that was being made, and
So
it
does
was
it
like,
count as demasculinization or emasculation if you enjoyed it? Like when you're talking about like BDSM, where
yeah.
this
See, you
person
know what, and
likes.
you know what? That's a good that's a good connection to it. Now I'm not quite. Now I'm down for that too. I ain't gonna lie. Now I'm down for that. However, though, I think there's a conversation that needs to be had first before you go shoving somebody's face
Okay.
into a pillow.
So it's
So
consent. It
they're
has to be consensual.
I would like it.
right.
I would like it to be. I would like it for me to be. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. For me. I mean, so let's just.
Because the act is still the act, right? Whether you consent to it or not, it's I guess
Right.
regardless of whether you consent to it or not, it's the act is the act. However, if you like it, then maybe you like the act, and it's not a bad thing for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So I liked it, but I felt some type of way afterward. But I liked it. Now
So
you asked
then
me
would
if it
it
was to go
still
down
be
again. Would I not do it again? Ain't gonna lie. It was fun. It's fun. I just still
so
felt
then does
demasculated.
that count as demasculinizing?
I don't know, but the way they made me feel afterwards, though, during the time I enjoyed it. But then afterwards, I was like, I don't like it. But next time, let's talk about it though. Let's have a safe word or something, because my feelings do matter.
Okay.
But since it was a new experience, you weren't able to construe what was being done. It was
That
after
part.
the fact you had been emasculated that
Hmm.
you realized that it was something that you might not. So with this particular partner, did you have your conversation of what are the do's and the don'ts?
I
Something
thought I
had to
did.
make something had to make her feel comfortable enough to be able to try that.
Yeah, I
Does
agree.
that make
I agree.
sense?
Conversations was had of the do's and the don'ts. That was not one of the don'ts. So therefore, they were free to operate how they see wish. There was a lot of don'ts. Actually, there was not too many don'ts. It was like probably like two or three, but that wasn't a part of the don'ts. So therefore, I guess they rightfully so had the ability to act in how they see fit. But I just know that at the time it was great, but then I look back at it, I was like, oh my god, this, and then they just
But
rolled
if
over and
the
went to sleep.
roles were reversed and it was man doing it to a woman without having the conversation and getting permission, we'd be having a whole different topic discussion. Does that make sense? So
Yes, we
are you
would, because
saying
that
it's
would be considered as taking it from them, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was gonna say that I
a
don't
double
know that.
standard?
I was gonna say I don't know that this is the right example for demasculation. I think this is just humiliation. I think she was just humiliating you because
Humiliation for sure.
in a sexual situation with someone, um, to assume that that kind of action would be emasculating would assume that typically speaking, the man would be the dominant person in the bedroom. That's not always the case.
Right.
And which I'm okay with it at times. I'm okay with it.
Right. But what I'm
I,
saying is that if that was the case, that the man is usually the dominant one, then that act would be her demasculating you because she's taking away your dominance. But in factuality, it can go both ways. I think in this particular instance, she was just trying to humiliate you for her own sexual pleasure at that time, and that was something that made her feel good. So I would say that was probably closer to humiliation. Now, did it humiliate
For
you
sure.
at the time? No, because you enjoyed it.
Very much
But
so.
perhaps it humiliated you later.
Yeah,
And so that
and that's really what I didn't feel humiliated. I just felt like that was not nice, but I kind of like it a little bit, but it wasn't nice. Like,
yeah.
shoving my face down, it was like, oh my god.
So I guess what we need to define is we need to define, what are the essential aspects of what we've had this conversation before. What is a typical masculine, right, sort of behavior or attributes, and then for someone to then
Right.
attack those attributes and take those attributes away from you, that would be probably a better example of demasculation. And for me, I would venture to say that demasculating someone is when you you come to an understanding with that person about what their role is as a man, with relationships, with parenthood, with whatever the case may be. Both people have this understanding of what the masculine role is, and then once those roles are understood, you attack them and tell them that they're not doing that role right, and you do it in a humiliating way.
Right.
You're attacking the masculine attributes of themselves, the masculine aspects that you both come to understand are the masculine aspects, and you're attacking those roles and those sort of behaviors from them to make them feel less of a man. In that situation, you would be
Right.
demasculating that person.
So, like, for example, if you were in a relationship with a partner and you had the understanding that you were going to be the primary provider, right? But then this partner was like, no, I'm going to provide because you're trash and I do it better and da 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 da, and then told you weren't allowed to work or you weren't like, that's extreme kind of example.
Yeah.
But that would be an example because there was this understanding that you were going to be the primary provider. But then this partner came in and said, nah, you're trash. I do it better.
Yeah, I would
Right.
say that in a lot of respect, and maybe some people may agree with it or may not agree with it, but typically in a relationship, in a lot of respect, it is sort of the expectation that the man is going to provide, be an earner.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the main earner and the top earner, but you're gonna earn in some respect and be a provider for your family in some respect. And so if that role is understood as a part of your role as the man in the family, and somebody attacks you and says, "Hey, look, you're trash or you're a loser," and
Right.
just to be fair, I've seen that dynamic with relationships, uh, with friends and things like that, where somebody attacks someone because they're not able to buy the lavish things for that person and make them feel like
Mm-hmm.
they got all the glitz and glamour and stuff like that, and they attack them for that and say, and well, look at so and so's boyfriend, how he buys her this bag, that bag. See, they take care of their woman. That's a real man. That's a real man.
Right.
When you say things like that, well, that's let me tell you what a real man does. A
Right.
real man pays the
Comparing to
bills.
others. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
comparing that person to other men, and you say, if you were a real man, you would treat me this way. You would make me feel special this way as a man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that sort of act would be demasculating, and that can have long-term effects in a relationship. And so, I think that's something that we have to be really cautious of, especially when you're in a relationship with someone who prides themselves on being, sort of a masculine figure in a relationship.
But there are sometimes we emasculate without even giving it a second thought. Let's think about it. You hear the wife is at work and the father is a stay at home dad. Do you not give the side looks or the pullback? Your husband
Yep.
is a stay at home dad.
Yep. For sure.
That, that kind of, and I don't think people intentionally do it, but they give the side eye because that's in fact not the standard. It's 2023, and
Right.
from 1989 to current 2023, 18% increase for stay-at-home dads. It started to become more frequent, but
Mm-hmm.
we still give the side eye and look at them as if they're doing something they're not supposed to. And women have been doing it for so long. They want to get out in the work field and do the things just as a man would, and they're looked down upon because they're doing what the wife's been doing for the last umpteenth years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember we were talking about the one of the podcasts. It's like the gender, like social norms and expectations, and that is a part of social norms and expectations, where inadvertently we're giving the side eye, we're making the little snide comments because the social norm and expectations that we've all been
Right.
groomed to think and be is that women play this role, men play this role. There is no in between. There is no
Right.
blending in the minds in the mindset that, and it's a lot of things that we have to choose to unlearn and and be better at it, because it shouldn't be like, oh, she's masculine because she pays all the bills and he's a stay-at-home dad. That could be like you said, there's women that are career driven and they don't want to be the stay-at-home mom. They don't want to be the one that's at the house choosing to be something else that they're not.
I have noticed there's a trend in regards to who's to play what role. Let's say you and your partner are together, and you and your partner live together, you split the bills down, and then your partner loses his job. I was brought up, you hold your man down, you
Right.
pick the ball up and you run with it. You know what I mean? Until he gets back on his feet, whatever those
Right.
things. You know what I mean? Is that emasculating him, or is that in fact doing what you're supposed to do when somebody's fallen? If that makes sense at all. I used to be in a situation where the person used to tell me, know your role. You trying to be the dude. But my response to that was, you're not doing anything for me to be safe enough to hand the ball to you. The lack of responsibility or the traits that are needed for me to feel safe to give you the ball to
Right.
do the masculine things,
Right.
I'm not getting. So I'm not knowing my role. I'm just not going to let the ball drop.
Right. Well, and I think that for me, it's understanding that emasculation and effeminization are perceptions. That's the first. There is no hard, fast rule about if you do this thing, this person will automatically feel this way because everybody
Okay.
is different, right? So it's about perception. So your partner loses their job and you go get a job to support in the in between. Yes, right?
Right.
That is being a supportive partner. But that doesn't mean that your partner won't feel emasculated. He very well might feel like, oh, I can't get a job, so I'm not a real man, I'm not this, I'm not that. But that has nothing to do with you. That's not a you issue. That's a him and his self-esteem, his self-worth issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you very well could be like, well, I'm not gonna do nothing, I'm just gonna sit here and we just gonna be broke and not be able to pay bills.
Right.
But that will also be emasculated because now I can't provide for my family. So
Right.
there really is no happy medium for that because it's all about, like I said, it's all about perception. Some men may be happy to have, or some people may be happy to have a partner that is going to fill in the gap for them while they legitimately go find a job and go try and hustle. Other people may not. I had a partner that I was in the military active duty, and I ended up we had a child together, and he was staying at home with that child because he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find a job. And I did not know at the time, but that was he felt very emasculated in that moment. And after that, it was like everything else was downhill. Everything was downhill. Like he felt like he could never recover from that. And it was like, well, you're at home with the child because you don't have a job, and I can't afford to pay for daycare with you're sitting at home not working.
Right.
So what's the happy medium? Like,
Right. From my personal experience, I've realized that myself, I'm more adaptable, I think is the word I'm trying to find, when it comes to whether I have to go out and make the bread or I've got to go out and make the house a home.
right.
I'm able to pick up both roles, but I would say that was strongly influenced by my dad. I had that upbringing that a woman can do anything a man can do, anything at all, but she can have a baby. That's what makes her different. She can endure more than a man can in regards to pain and things of that sort. So in my home, in my have gender roles. My mom just didn't cook, and she just didn't clean. My dad cooked and cleaned. We were not allowed to have babysitters, so we had both. We had a parent at all times. And with that being said, it made us grow up. Well, it made me personally grow up with the understanding that a man can clean a house and a woman
Yeah.
can clean a house. He may not clean it the exact same way I do, but at the end of the day, the house is still clean. Um, I felt more resistance when my ex ended up losing his job and I was the one making money. It was not well received for the cooking and the cleaning and the things of that sort. I noticed I was doing two roles at one
Mm-hmm.
time. Sat down and reflected, and I was like, if I can do all this by myself, I can do that all by myself. I now have another whole being, and having the conversations, which we did or I attempted to do, I need help. I'm doing both roles. You're at home was not as perceived as well as you would think for somebody who didn't have a job at the time.
Well, and I think that goes into effeminization because a lot of times what I'm seeing patterns in relationships, you'll have single moms who are doing all the stuff and they're used to operating in that masculine protector. I have to be the problem solver. And then I have to be the nurturer and I have to be the caretaker. I have to do both roles, right? And
Yeah.
then they get a partner that's like, oh no, you're doing too much. You're too heavy in your masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I'm in this role because that's what I've had to do. Like this was a survival tactic. This isn't who I want to be, right?
Growing up with Mike, I personally heard Mike on a million times say, "Lisa, I couldn't see you being a homemaker. I didn't see you doing the feminine role or being able to submit." We've had these conversations personally, and he said it, but I, I I'm extremely independent. I was the girl, you know. I was Sanaya Lathan's walking with the ball and the flip flops all throughout high school. That was my. I was a tomboy, and I get that a lot. I'm very intimidating, and people don't think that I would be able to submit. And I think what they fail to realize is if you come to the table and I feel safe enough where I can submit, by all means I will. I will relinquish the masculine role that I've had to have for the last 9 years. But like Micah said himself, he just didn't see it happening.
Hey, Jordan, you want to check the comments real quick?
Yeah, I was just on it. Thank you. Yes. So Wayne Cotton Jr. Hey, Wayne Cotton Jr. So Wayne says, I think there's a difference when a man needs help and is trying to work versus not performing or bringing in enough income and stating know your role. I completely wholeheartedly agree with that. And that, you know, goes back to what Lisa was saying. Yes, if you're attempting to go find a job, attempting to be that provider, that protector, doing all the things, yes, for sure. But if you're sitting on the couch eating cookies, talking about know your role, let's talk about that. Like,
yeah, there's a shift. Listen, I don't mind, but you can't do all the rah-rah that you would do as if you were providing or
right.
cooking or cleaning or doing the things that would compensate or take the load off of the significant other who's doing all of it.
You
I
see me?
think it's a little bit harder, and just because boys are brought up differently. I'm doing the best I can to teach my son there are no gender roles. You are just as good to go wash your dirty underoos like I'm able to wash your dirty underoos. So you need to learn how to cook. You don't rely on a woman to do those things. And if you have a person that does it great, appreciate her. But it's not just her responsibility. You can do a little laundry as well, or you can cook a meal. You can make it a partnership. It, in my personal opinion, what made one of the most successful relationships I've ever seen in my life was there was no gender roles. If you work, I work. Our money goes into a mutual, and you
No, you're
cook,
fine.
I
Your
cook,
name is
you
still,
clean,
your
I
name
clean.
is still in
There's
there.
no women only do this and men only do that. So
You can't see everybody.
they were married 50,
So the log got them all back in there.
57 years,
Wow.
57 years to the day.
Right. I definitely feel like gender roles plays a huge role in the concepts of emasculation and effeminization, because if you subscribe to gender roles and you feel like women are supposed to be doing this, men are supposed to be doing this, and that person isn't doing that, then then you might feel some kind of way about it. But again, it goes back to emasculation and effeminization are perceptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do the same thing and have a different outcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree with both of you on that. And what Lisa was saying, how she's teaching her son to basically be self-sufficient. And my thought process on self-sufficiency, I said this on one of our podcasts before, is that my mother taught me to basically do all the household things, cook, cleaning, and things like that. And it wasn't so, oh, you don't need a woman. It's so the day your partner can't, again, everything shouldn't fall asunder. If she's sick, you should be able to take care of the house and her. And that's where the part that where we're talking about masculinity and femininity and the whole shift. And taking care of your partner in a what we would consider a feminine manner of like cooking, nurturing, medicines, giving them the bath and stuff like that. Those are the roles that as a man you need to understand. While we're so caught up on saying women do this, men do that, at some point you got to be able to know that the quote unquote feminine role is to be a nurturer, is to be caring. And for you to say as a man, I don't know what that is, I don't want to be that person, well, then you might as well just say you want to be alone, because at some point your partner ain't gonna be 100%, and you have to plan accordingly for that, and you have to adjust to that. It's not like, oh, you still sick, let me get a housekeeper, let me bring another female into the mix to handle the jobs. And that, while that may work for some people, but at the same point in time, it shouldn't have to be that way. But to everybody's relationship dynamic their own. But it, like for me and my peoples, that's how we was taught. We cook, we clean. And if my partner needs to be taken care of because she had a procedure done, or she just gave birth and she ain't moving as good as she may have twisted her ankle, she may have hurt herself,
Right.
and she's not able to move around. Now it's up to me to still do those things, and me come into that because she's down for the count for now, not for long. And if it turns out to be for long, then we're gonna have a conversation, and we're gonna have to adjust the way we live. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that's the outcome of it, male or female. And I can honestly agree that when a female is somewhat the higher earner, I can say that they are often not the nicest. They want to throw it in your face. They want to let you know they make more money than you, and it's like, oh, they can buy you, or they can buy 10 of you, and you easily replace them.
I
Nah,
don't
bro.
think
That
that's just a
is,
female thing. I think that's a high earner trait in general. Like, in order to
Mentality.
be a
You
high
right.
earner, you have to be in your masculine energy, because in order
Male
to
or female.
survive, yeah, in order to survive in that type of environment, you have to be masculine. You have to be dominant. You have to be a go getter. You have to be logical. You have to be structured. All of those things are masculine energy, and people don't want to hear that. But the reality of it is, right? And so when you have done all this, you've clawed your way to the top to make all this money, a lot of times there is this air of like, do you know who I am? Like, I could, like you said, I could buy 10 of you. Like, does it have to be that way? No. Should it be that way? Definitely not. But does it often happen? Yes. A lot of times people who are high earners are in this place of toxic masculinity.
but is that adaptive behavior? Is that if
Yes.
a woman throws in her, so a woman's dating a man and she makes more money than the man and the man makes less, and she throws in his face, could that just not be adaptive behavior that's been done to her?
It
So
very
she
much
said, you know what, I'm
is.
going to be a go-getter, let me go get more money.
Mm-hmm.
Or let me or her particularly try to find somebody who makes less so she has the ability to be able to.
To be the boss at home and at work. Yeah. And a lot of times that comes from a place of insecurity. I have to be the boss. I have to wear the pants, because at some point in my life, I didn't have any power. I didn't have any control.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so now I'm taking the power. I'm taking the control in the places where I can. I can control how much money I make, and I can control how much money I give you, and I can control what I pay for, what you will get and what you won't. All of that, it comes back to a place of insecurity.
And I'm not gonna front. I definitely give the side eye to a dude who subjects themselves to that type of behavior and mentality. Like, you ain't out here getting an allowance from your chick, my dude. You need to earn your own money. And for me personally, if my partner's a stay-at-home mom, cool, 100%. You better start selling Avon and cookies or something, bro. Listen, we all out here grinding together. We building a foundation. We working somehow, some way. Because I firmly feel like you got to put into something in order for you to accept, in order for you to appreciate and see value in it. If you sitting
But
there on the sideline and you just taking, you ain't gonna respect what you got at home.
but what you're putting in doesn't always have to be financial. There is
And
so
it
much
doesn't. And
more
you're
to
right. You don't
contribute
have
than
to
just
always be financial.
finances.
You can be the nurturing partner in that relationship, and that is your value 100%. That's what you bring.
Right.
But you the nurturing partner, and that's good. Then you got those that most men consider moochers, where it's just like, I look good, and that's all I am good for. I don't
Right.
do anything else. I look good.
Right.
And then you got the dudes that are just sitting at home while they girls spending all kinds of money on them, and they actually taking that money, taking other chicks out on dates. I know some people that do that too. They not my friends and nothing like that, but I done heard some stories now. But it's like, yeah, nah, but it's like, yo, it don't make no sense. But hey, you signed up for that. That's what you want. That's what you like. But I'm not okay with it. I firmly believe if my chick make more money than me, that's fine. If she talking about, oh, since we having a baby and I like to be at work, can you stay at home? I'm like, I gotta sit here and think about it. I'm like, in my mind, am I selling Avon from home,
What type
or
of
am I
phone do
selling
you buy?
CDs? Am I doing, because bro, I'm not, in my mind, I just can't sit
Right.
there and
Right.
not do nothing. I'm a cook and clean, yeah, but in my mind, it's a pride thing. And once again, it's a male
That's masculine
it's a
energy.
masculine
I
energy
have to be
behavior
doing.
ingrained
Yeah.
inside. I gotta put in. I gotta put in. And if you with somebody that's like, nah, I'm okay not putting in, that's cool. You accept that. And that's whoever that is. But for me, I just
Right.
can't. Like, even if you make more money, I'm still gonna come in with something.
Right.
I'm
Contribute
coming in with
something.
something. I'm putting in on
Right.
something.
But
And
that
that
goes
that
back to masculine energy. Masculine energy, the three P's: protector, provider, problem solver. Even if the woman is making more, your or other partner, whatever, is making more money than the masculine partner, that doesn't mean that you can't still be masculine. You can't still be the protector, the provider, and the problem solver. Like, you're making this money, you're bringing it in, okay, but I'm making sure that everything is provided for. I'm making sure that the house is safe, that everybody's taken care of. Like, you can still be in your masculine energy and be a stay-at-home dad. It doesn't have to be emasculating.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree. I don't think being the ultimate provider is what makes you masculine. There's a lot of things that come with being masculine.
No, we can't hear him.
The biggest things, if you ask most women, hey, look, what's masculinity to you? What is a primary attribute of someone who's masculine? They look at you and they say someone that can protect, or someone that's a protector, someone that I feel safe around, someone that
Right.
they have that sort of poise where you can tell that they're someone who will protect you. And I think that's a huge part of masculinity. And I will say that just in that regard, there's a lot of uh, psychological damage uh, when you have that being under attack. When you
Right.
have somebody who's telling you that you're weak, or you can't protect
Right.
them, or you can't. That's like the fastest way
Right.
to get a man feeling like demasculated, because it's like you're weak, you can't protect you ain't nothing, you ain't got what I'm saying.
Right.
So that, to me, that's one of the biggest things. And uh, I have a lot. I don't know what you guys think about the whole Will and Jada situation that's going on right now. Right
We
now.
got a whole we got some time for that. We got some time for that. But Jordan, what we got in the comment section right now? What's going on?
That was it. Wayne had just talked about, going back to what we were talking about a little bit ago, that entitlement, in terms of the high earning female being very controlling and whatnot. He was talking about that entitlement coming from a place of trauma, and I completely agree with that. They have to make a point, and I'm making a
Mhm.
point at your expense. I
Mhm.
am emasculating you so that I can feel better about myself. Right? I completely
Yeah,
agree with that.
a lot of women probably feel like they have to be that way. When it, because let's be honest, there's certain attributes of leadership that are automatically associated with men, right? Jordan, I think you mentioned it earlier. You got to be, logical. Be able to remove your emotion, and the perception is
Right.
that a lot of
Right.
women think with their emotion and make decisions that are
Right.
based on emotion. And so women, to compensate for that, a lot of times when they're in, let's face it, the majority of the world's CEOs are men. When you're operating in that world, in that field with other men, most of the time they're looking at you like, can this woman be a sniper? And what I mean by that is can she
Right.
be, able to make these critical decisions that have to do with, something that's going to impact the entire organization? Can she do that without emotion? And a lot of women, when they get up that high, they feel like they have to be that way, right? Because
Mhm.
you don't ever want to be looked at as weak or someone who's not fit to lead.
Right.
So again, talking about if it's adaptive, or if it's something that something that you just have always been that way. A lot of times it's the age old question, right? Nurture versus nature. In this respect, I think when we're talking about this particular subject, a lot of times it is nurture, because you kind of adapt to become that way to
Mm.
survive in your world.
Right. I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. Whether that's adapting to survive because of work, adapting to survive because of trauma, adapting to survive, whatever the reason is, it doesn't matter. The end result is still the same. You're adapting from whatever your natural disposition was to this place. Like, when I was growing up, my dad was a Vietnam veteran. He was a police officer. He had two girls at the time, then my brother came later, but he treated us very, like, hard. He treated us, or me, he treated me like one of the boys. And so I learned to be hard, and to be structured, and to be functional, and to be logical, and to be all that masculine energy. I was a tomboy growing up. And
She was.
I had to learn how to be feminine, because while that my mother was nurturing, the primary energy that was given to me was you can't cry, you gotta be tough, like you can't talk about your feelings, all this stuff.
Mhm.
And so yes, it was very much a learned thing. Now coming into my own, realizing that I enjoy being feminine. I like being soft and dainty and all the little things. Um, that masculine energy was learned. I had to be that way in order to survive in my household.
Yep.
I thought I had to be that way in order to survive in the world. I joined the military, and I had to be that way to survive in the military.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it wasn't until I got out that I was able to be like, oh, I like painting my nails and wearing dresses and doing all the things, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But that wasn't acceptable in the place that I was in at that time.
On the Jada situation, I have posted it on Facebook on my personal page or whatever. Is that I feel like her behavior and the way she's acting is a direct representation of when you allow society and family and friends to impact your decision making on who you should be and who you should not be with. And
Right.
it spiraled into her basically saying, "I don't care about you." Indirectly, and then everything she's saying and doing is a reflection of that, rather than letting that person go and say, "You're not really what I wanted to be with. I'm gonna just hang on to you because everybody says you're good for me and you're a right
Right.
fit for me." And so the lack of respect she has for her partner is a representation of that, rather than just saying from a long time ago, "Let me cut you off," not basically still being with somebody because they're good to you, love them the same way they love you. It's best to let them go rather than turning into this person. She was quiet for a long time, and now all of a sudden it's just like chitty chitty bang bang. Let me just spray this dude down in every way possible, and it's like to get him to let me go, rather than her just saying, "Yo, I'm letting you go. I release you from this contract of being with me. Go do you." And whether he keeps running back, talking about, "I love my baby mother, I never let her go," on some DMX jump off. I'm saying, yo, but it's like,
Yeah,
bro, she don't want to be with you. Let her go, bro. Like, but then she also needs to basically understand that the way she's going about it is very wrong. We understand you hurt. We understand you chose somebody because everybody pressured you to get with the nice guy, the good guy, the guy that's willing to move mountains for you, but you ain't able to reciprocate that affection. Then let him go. Let him be.
listen, listen, man. Y'all, listen. I got a lot of feelings about this right here, right now, man. You know what? First, before I even talk about Jada, I want to talk to Will Smith, Will Smith, because I recently saw a post. I think you sent it to me, Mike, where it was him saying that, don't worry about me and Jada. This is an exercise in unconditional love. I remember watching that video.
It's an old video. It has nothing to do with the current situation.
Okay.
It was like last year. It was like last year.
But I think
It was like after the table talk conversation.
I think it was still relevant to the situation.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
because people get in that Will, like, what are you doing? Like, your girl is out here
They feel like
just
it's
like
emasculation. Yep.
burning you to pieces. Like, what are you doing? And he's sitting here saying, must every piece of my sense of self-worth be stripped away from me before the world believes that I love you. Like, what those feelings that you feel, you have every right to feel them, but there's certain things that in a relationship is okay to keep between the husband and wife. That there's certain things that a woman should voice to her husband and a husband should voice to his wife, to let that person know how they feel and not just be between us. But these are two people that are in the public light, and the whole world is involved in their relationship. And she is out here creaming this dude. I mean, dude, like, and it's like, I feel bad for you that you you're so concerned about trying to prove to the world that as much as this woman creams you, it's okay because it's unconditional love, and that's fine. But someone who loves you does not need to demasculate you and see if you'll stick around for you to prove that you love them.
I don't feel. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't feel bad for him at all. He knew what he was getting into. He chose that for himself. That woman told you up front from jump, dog, that she had feelings for somebody else, and you still hawked it down like it was nobody else's business. More power to you, pimp. At the end of the day, because
Fair enough, but
when
does
they
she,
Can I
said,
does
propose?
she have to like
Listen.
Can I propose a question to everybody?
Yes, go ahead.
Get your thoughts and opinion. I actually have two.
Go
One,
ahead.
Jada, did you guys not think Jada had an agenda when she married Will?
That's again.
And I say that, and were we just in the fairy tale that two beautiful black people were married and they were part of our growing up
Hmm.
and a normalcy of seeing two black couple together
Mm-hmm.
with no rumors or anything at all,
Mm-hmm.
like an idol couple for us to look up to? Did
Mm-hmm.
we look? The question is, did we turn our heads when we knew that Jada married Will with an agenda?
I think the world wanted to believe that it was possible, right? Because it just wasn't a whole lot of that. Black people, black excellence, black power.
No,
There wasn't a whole lot of that, and it was
there was
beautiful.
not.
Will and Jada. Will was already one of the most popular actors. Everybody loves Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And then Jada was just up and coming, from a different world, but she was beautiful and such poise, and she was the representation of a strong black woman, and we loved it. We loved to see it, and it was great for a time, and it's been great for a time. And I personally believe that Jada has been through a lot in her life. I think she's going through a lot in her life. She chooses to put her life in the public eye, which is fair enough. Um, but I do agree with you. I think that there was always some agenda.
Right. She was up and coming. You this is verbiage.
Exactly.
She was up and coming. She
Hmm.
was not Jada Pinkett Smith when she and Will started dating and
Facts.
got married. She wasn't doing the Oprah interviews. It was just a little girl on a different world, Tupac's friend type situation. She was not known. Jada had an agenda because, as she would say in her book, which I'm reading and I'm almost through with it, but she's made it that she's always had an agenda for things. And she had to grow up that way, being a drug dealer and things of that sort that she said she had to be.
She's
So
surviving.
marrying Will, in my personal opinion, was an agenda. Her dropping these secrets and these bombs that we all had speculation about, the August Alsine
Mm,
situation had an agenda. It was all the buildup for her to get the sales and get the funds and have some type of dollar amount close to what Will had a dollar amount with, for us to be able to leave. She's smart, don't get me wrong. She had an agenda when she married him. She had an agenda with the rumors that she dropped, and she's got an agenda now. She doesn't believe in divorce because her money doesn't match his money yet.
mm, mm,
So,
mm.
in my personal opinion, she's doing this. The funds from the book tour, the funds from the video, the funds from the audio will all come where she is comfortable enough to finally sign those divorce papers.
Mm.
But she's doing all of this at his expense.
And
Because
there,
at the
there it
end of
is,
the
right there.
day, she's getting all of this stuff because she's not that great of an actress. She can sing. I mean, she's like a rock singer. So let me clarify.
Oh,
She's a rock singer,
you're
so
right.
she can
Correct.
rock. Okay, she can rock.
She
But
can.
she's not.
She's a rock singer.
She can. She sings rock music. You know that like loudspeaker means.
Oh, I know.
You know the loud yelling.
Right. So she is an adept rocker, but there is nothing other than her looks. There is nothing super great about her other than the fact that she is married to Will Smith. And so her clawing her way to the top, because this is literally what she's doing. She's climbing over his face in the process and pulling him down. And when it's all said and done, she got where she's going.
Mm-hmm.
He's emasculated. His public image is what?
Disintegrated.
Right? Because Disney's not going to want to partner with him. He can't be Genie anymore in this controversy of craziness.
I disagree.
Right?
I disagree.
I don't know.
I think the way Will Smith is handling it, or the lack thereof, will determine whether or not he gets more. He's always going to be one.
I have to agree with you. I do.
true.
I think the way
That's
that he's
true.
handling it is the best way. We live in a very sensitive society, and if he was to retaliate,
Anyway, no,
combat her,
we
I agree
all
with
know.
that. I agree with that.
I agree, but I ain't gonna lie to you though. That slap to Chris Rock though, bro.
like honestly,
Bruh,
like
that ain't no coming back from that one right there. I'm sorry, bro.
what do you mean? He's already had a movie on Apple TV.
Yeah, it was straight to Apple TV because
it was already.
Cats didn't really care for all that. Let's just be real.
I was already slated to
No,
win.
Mike. To be correct, the reason why it went right to Apple is because the screenwriters are on strike.
Yeah,
That's
it was
why.
already slated to.
Hey, either way, however that turned
I'm
out.
being honest. Like I'm more upset with Will than I am with Jada, and the reason why I'm upset with Will is because when I see, because he wrote a very sweet letter to Jada when she started, advertising the book, saying, I respect you so much, I love you
Yeah, I saw
for
that.
being, I saw that, I thought that was very nice, and that's great. Like, you should support your wife, and you should give her a voice, and vice versa, your wife give you a voice as well to speak your truth
But it
to
shouldn't
a
be
to a
spent.
certain extent in the public eye. Like, when two people have are married or whatever, there's certain things that it's okay to keep between y'all. I don't
Mhm.
feel like I feel like her expressing her views to him about certain topics, not everything, but certain things that are just really sensitive to the relationship, is perfectly good. But when you start divulging information, it's really really sensitive things, like when she said, it came to terms with the fact that Will Smith cannot satisfy me. Like, when she made that comment.
Emasculation.
Come on, man. Like, if that isn't demasculation, like, 101, like, I was like, dude, come on. You don't need to tell the whole world that. You know what I'm saying?
One, we also don't know, that could be a kink for him. Eh, who knows what the dynamic is of their relationship? Some people probably want to be like. There's different forms of BDSM. There's like multiple levels. I didn't know about it. There's like multiple different levels, and this could just be another form of their BDSM where he's being publicly
But
demasculated, and he gets off on that.
that goes back to emasculation and effeminization being a perception, right?
Yep.
Because we see it, okay, undermining his confidence, okay, financial control, not really so much. Public humiliation, yes. Withholding intimacy, yes. Questioning masculinity, yes. Comparing him to others, Tupac, yes. Ignoring his opinions and feelings, when she had him
Yes.
on Red Table Talk talking
Mm,
about her craziness, like
mm.
exerting dominance. All of these things are like red flag.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it goes back to perception. If he doesn't perceive it as being emasculating, does it count?
But when a victim is a victim for so long, they don't know they're being
Stockholm
victimized.
syndrome.
They're
Stockholm
thinking
syndrome.
they're
Yeah.
they're they're thinking this is everyday normal
This is
behavior.
normal.
I,
Yeah.
I also think that Will Smith has been in the game for a long time. He's a smart guy. He's a very, very
Yes.
savvy person in Hollywood, and he understands that he has to be very, very careful about how he responds to this. I
Yes.
don't think his response is accidental, and I don't think it's this unconditional love thing that he's trying to portray to the world. I think that this is very deliberate. I think he understands that if he responds to all of this in a way where he seemed to be trying to stifle Jada, or he seemed to be trying to attack her or whatever, I think he understands that that would be bad for his personal life and his career
Right.
as well, because he would be canceled in 2 seconds. And
Right.
so I don't think that this is his response is a mistake. I think it's very deliberate, and I think that Will Smith knows exactly what he's doing.
The memes out
I
here in this
agree
world
with
are
that.
so hilarious. I posted one on my Instagram. It was hilarious. If your girlfriend cheats on you, put a hair remover in her shampoo bottle. If she gonna act like Jada, she gonna look like her too. I ain't gonna lie. I've been dying off these memes though. Oh my god, they
Hot
are just too funny.
mess.
Back on topic, I agree. I think
Thank you,
that
Lisa.
um
Uh,
I think Will has not canceled his career. I don't think his image of the Will Smith has changed. I think
Agreed.
if he spins this in his direction, this can
Be
rejuvenate
great for him.
his new career. Yeah, it can rejuvenate the new coming career that we can anticipate. I think Jada,
Absolutely.
in a sense, has canceled herself
Hmm.
because every week, and you've seen it on Good Morning. How many Good Morning America? I think she's had 3 Good Morning America
Yeah, a
interviews.
lot. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Um, we've seen her on The View. We've seen her on all the major talk shows, and every talk show she's going on, it's some new piece of evidence. And
Yeah.
a lot of people I've talked to, and we've had our own opinions about this, is she's telling too much.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all grew up in a household. What happens in my home stays in my home. There are some things we share and some things we don't. I personally find it extremely disheartening to know what happened in your bedroom. Like, I was always, I don't share. That's just
Yeah.
not an option. I don't share what I do with my person, how good or bad that person is. Like,
Right.
if that's the person I rock with, I'm not going to tell my homegirls. That's just the thing. Like, a lot of people are deterred because she's sharing so much. and doing what she is emasculating him, that she is canceling
Right.
herself.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
her
like
book
every
tour got,
week.
I heard that her book tour got cut in half. She was booked for like 50
Yeah.
states. She's down to 25, I think.
Mm.
Well, and I had one of the people on my social media was like,
Mm-hmm.
"What would y'all feel the same way if it was a man doing all of this stuff?"
I don't
He'd be
think I,
raked. We would be
Oh my
raking
God.
him through the coals if it was the other way.
Mm.
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, yeah, he definitely he wouldn't even make it to week 2 with his mouth running like that, bro.
He'd
I'm
be
sorry.
Mhm.
considered an abuser. He
Yeah.
would be called an abuser.
Yo, they would send FBI for questioning her psychological profile and seeing if he's been psychologically abusing her. He would be brought up on charges so fast. It'll make January 6th look like a ticker tape parade.
Yeah.
Okay,
It is a
that's
double
what the
standard.
reality is. You know what I mean? That's the reality is. She's getting away with it because she's a chick. Let's not forget the Amber Harding situation. That that lady right there,
Who ever heard?
whatever the redhead, the awful chick in Aquaman. Oh good God, with that
Oh,
fake
okay,
Tyler Perry
okay.
weave and everything. That
I didn't
yo,
know
that
who you were talking
woman.
about.
The fact that she was like taking pictures of her smearing poop on the man's face, I'm like, bro, the level of disrespect
And
is
Johnny
it.
Depp.
Yo, and then you talking about, oh, you fear for your life. Clearly, not that much if you putting poop on somebody, bro. You know what I'm
But
saying?
that's another great example of emasculation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another great example of it. And she
Mm-hmm.
went hardcore with the public humiliation, with
Mm-hmm.
the red
Absolutely,
cup, all the things.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's this girl on Instagram. She funny little Haitian girl. She's doing like stand up comedy, and she was saying a lot of things. It's funny. It's like you need a Jean Claude or somebody to give you a Zocalo. Zocalo is like a knuckle to the head, like right here in the toe, because you coming up. Yo, she was wow. Jada and Amber. They just. I'm like, I ain't describing to beating women. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not, but I just feel like sometimes, I just feel like at sometimes you got, if you ain't giving them a look, then no, hey, don't play me, don't play, don't,
Is that the
not.
look you gave the girl when she was pushing her head down?
Oh,
Womp, womp,
Sorry,
womp.
oh,
sorry. It just
oh.
opened the door. Sorry.
At that time, no, because I was really enjoying it. So, okay, at that time I really enjoyed it, but it reflected upon me after the fact. At the time, I didn't.
But then you said you would do it again. So does
Right.
that even
Yeah,
count
you
as
weren't demasculated.
No,
emasculation?
because like no, it felt good in one area, just another part of my body didn't enjoy it. It was like I had a stiff neck afterwards. It was just awful. But everything below the waist enjoyed every moment of it.
So then does that count?
I don't know, because inside my heart, I felt some type of way. My neck felt some type of way, but my loins felt fantastic.
You're
And you
conflicted.
would do it
I don't
again.
think I don't
My
I'm in
loins.
agreement with Achilles. He said it was humiliation. I don't think it was emasculation
If you liked it,
I mean,
if you liked it.
like I said, either way, I think that kind of came into a category for me in my mindset, but it could have been different though. Either way, it was good though. I enjoyed myself. I just didn't like the hand on my face. You just like, ah. I mean, I like the roar
But
and
don't
everything. That
men
was hot too. You know what I'm saying?
don't when the mic is being checked, don't you guys usually force the hand on the
Hey,
back
yeah,
of the head? Is that
yeah,
not?
I mean, what?
oh,
What?
she said when a mic is being checked, don't you usually put your hand on the head?
Tap tap.
I mean,
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
was giving you a mic check. I get it.
What? Hey, Mike check was
Wow.
well received, well received,
Wow.
well received on my note on that part. Well received. I was okay, okay. I'm gonna
Okay.
take it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. I was just like, okay, yeah,
So
it's understandable.
I'm gonna bring it back on track because we're at 55 minutes. And so with that, Achilles, you said something about unconditional love. Will Smith saying that it was an exercise in unconditional love, and I completely wholeheartedly agree with you in that unconditional love isn't sacrifice. A lot of people like to think that it
Ooh,
is,
very true.
but it
Very
is not.
true.
Because when you think about sacrifice, somebody is losing so that somebody else can win. That's
Mm,
not love.
yeah.
Because when you love somebody, you want us to both win.
Thank you.
We're going to compromise. We're not going to sacrifice. In Will Smith's case, I don't see any compromise.
I mean, for all you know, she might be cutting him a check. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I sent because Mike sent me a message about him saying I was unconditional love, and I responded like promptly, like that's BS.
Love
One,
it.
you should not have to humiliate someone and see if they're
No.
going to stick around after you humiliate them
No.
for them to prove. And secondly, when you truly love someone, if you really are about that person, you are doing everything to boost them up. You are boosting, lifting up their spirit. You're doing everything to, if they're in
Right.
the public light, you're doing everything to make them shine in the public light with you, shine together. Like
Right.
and that's real love. Like
100%.
if you need to step on someone's head for you to elevate yourself,
Right.
that's
That's
not
not
love.
love.
And if someone is recognizing and seeing that as love, or some form of unconditional love, my only question to you is if that's your version of love, then how far will you let that go? Like, just what are the depths that you would go to? Because one day she might tell you to off yourself to prove that you love her. Are you going to do that? Like,
Right. And that's
how
the
far will you go
thing.
with that?
You can love somebody unconditionally, but that doesn't mean allowing them to abuse you, right? I love you, and because I love you, and I also love myself, I'm going
Hmm.
to take a step back from this situation. I can still love you. We just can't be in the same, our relationship can't look the same as it's looked in the past. Because while I love you, I also very much love myself, right?
And that really boils down to self love. At the end of the day, he's allowing himself. Does he really love himself? Like he's telling everybody to love themselves. Like motivational speaking and all that, it's great and everything, but I feel like, bro, what you got going on here, Doug, that doesn't represent anybody that's
Right,
showing love to anybody. Like we
right,
all said, the partnership is about. There's no need. Sacrifice should not be a word in any relationship. No, but like what sacrificing is. I don't know.
I do
I
actually. I'm
think
sorry.
society has sacrificing and compromising
Yes,
Mixed.
misconstrued.
Yes. Yep.
mm-hmm.
And in my personal opinion, I
No,
think
I agree
that
with you.
I agree.
compromising, submission are not one and the same
Yeah,
with sacrificing. You should never have to sacrifice who you are as an individual to love another individual.
definitely not.
And I feel like a
Or
lot
to
of
be
and I
loved
feel like a
back.
lot of people, and that's what Jada is doing. That's what Will's doing. And I feel like a lot of people in relationships now, even in marriage, as we're in this new era of understanding what relationship is and having a healthy relationship, is this is that new era where we're starting to realize that we've been in so many relationships pretending to be something that we're not to make other people happy, and that is a sacrifice where you're turning yourself down, or you're hiding a portion of yourself because you don't want to scare somebody off, or you're accepting to lose this part of yourself to make other people happy, to so they can accept you and you can accept them. And that is one of the hard things about like trying to unlearn that, as all of us are growing into this whole relationship dating and trying to talk and trying to get to know someone, is not sacrificing who you are as an individual in order for the sake of being with somebody else.
Right.
I also think that there's an aspect of, going back to Will and Jay's situation. There's an aspect of emotional hostage going on in this situation.
Mm,
I do feel like, obviously we don't know all the details of their marriage, but there's something that Will seems to be trying to atone for in
mm,
their relationship. Something happened where he felt like he's really wronged her, and perhaps now he feels
right.
like,
He has to prove
the only
himself.
way to atone for that is to let her humiliate him this way. And so therefore maybe he has to accept it and he has to allow it. And
That martyrdom.
again, I go back to the question, is this love? Like, how is
Right.
this love? If you hurt someone, that's wrong on you. But if you turn around and say, look, I forgive you, let's keep, let's stay together.
Right.
You shouldn't then dangle, or make that person your emotional hostage if you truly love that
Right.
person. Because if you're going to use whatever that thing is for the rest
Right.
of your relationship to feel like you can, humiliate that person, then that's problematic.
One thing I don't think we've even touched base with, remove the love, remove the relationship. Does she respect him as a
Mm,
man? I
She can't.
don't I don't. Again, we all had that fantasy of husband wife. I don't think she respected him from day one when they had their first couple interview and she discussed her love and her relationship
the
and
pot
bringing Tupac in the forefront then. And that was early on. I personally don't,
facts
outside
again.
of love and all of the good stuff and the
Hmm.
butterflies and all the feeling, does she respect
Simple
him
respect.
as a man?
Right.
Is
Especially, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, especially knowing how he felt about Tupac, like that was a sore spot for him.
Yes.
For me, that was definitely a lack of respect, because if I know that my partner, if I had a partner from my past and I knew that my partner was sensitive about this person, why would I bring them up in a public platform?
And there's a quote in the book where she says that she had to, when making love to Will Smith, she would fantasize it was Tupac's face. Like
See,
there,
that's disrespectful.
that's blatant disrespect.
That
That
is so disrespectful.
Will came
Bruh.
up with a book.
Hey, I ain't
Please
even
do.
know that. I ain't
If
never
you're
done
gonna
that
do
in
it,
my
at least
wildest
keep it to
days.
yourself. Keep it
Hey,
up
I'm a
here.
savage at heart, bruh, but I ain't never, I couldn't, bruh. Oh, and
So
yo, listen,
I
listen,
personally don't feel
listen.
she's
Off rip
ever.
though, he just need to let her go at this point, cause this the milk is sour, bro. And you drinking sour milk with the chunks in it right now. It's a lot of chunks
Oh,
in there.
oh
That's what
gosh,
it is.
oh gosh.
He need to let that go. I'm sorry. Ain't
Please
no coming
don't.
back from any of that right there.
Blah, blah.
Nah, fam. No. No, 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 no.
But I
No.
think for me, all of this, in summation, all the things that we have talked about, it really comes back to emasculation, defeminization, all come from a place of survival mode. The person who's doing it is in a space of self-preservation. I am going to claw my way to the top at your expense. I don't care what happens to you, because I'm going to get mine. This makes me feel good. I don't care about all the extra stuff. And like Wayne Cotton said, coming from a place of trauma, right? There is something that happened in my life that makes me feel like I have to do this, that I have to sacrifice people for myself to live. Every time I say the word sacrifice, I think of like throwing kids in volcanoes. Like,
But I
Oh,
don't think trauma allows you to have an entitlement.
but it doesn't know, it doesn't allow you to, but people feel like,
Right.
because I've had this experience, this is my coping
This is
mechanism.
take it or leave it type mechanism. Yeah.
Right. This is who
yeah.
I
You
am.
know what? I'm not gonna lie. I've in my past history, I've been guilty of using that statement too. Not fully aware that it is assortment of trauma, and I needed to be better. I'm aware of that now, and I'm also aware that I played that role in the past, and not in a good way. And it was wrong for me to play that role in the past. And a lot of us as adults now need to take ownership of the things we were in the past in order for us to fully move on. It's like the past, you don't dwell in it, don't live in it, but just replace it. And you're right, from a place of trauma, you're acting like, oh, this is me, take it or leave it. No, this is me. I need help. I'm going to work on it. If you're present, that's cool for it. If you're not, then that's okay for it too. But I have these issues. I'm trying to work on them. I do apologize if it's affecting you in any shape or form.
That awareness,
Just
right?
having these heart to heartfelt conversations about it is where we as a people need to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So then, with that, wrapping this all up in a nice, pretty little bow, what advice would we give to people who have experienced emasculation, defeminization in their relationships? Can you salvage it? Can you work through it? Can you, like, what? Do we have any guidance for them?
But for me, I would say it's like what I said in one of the old podcast, one of our old episodes. It's like, yo, you got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze, man.
I knew you were gonna say
You
that.
got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze, like making your orange juice and your lemonade. You got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. If think about any God-forsaken, awful thing, if that person does, can you still see them the same, and can they still see you the same? And if the question is no on both parts, then obviously you know where you need to be, somewhere else. And you would like for your partner not to be that way, not to be a Jada, because I ain't gonna lie. From this point on, any chick that give me anytime I felt some type of emasculation or demasculation, I automatically say, yo, you got Jada Pinkett vibes. I ain't messing with that. That's what I'm gonna say. Jada, get out my line. That's it. Jada, get out my line, because I ain't Will Smith. Nope. Like I said, I don't condone slapping, but barbecue sauce. You know what I'm saying? Nope. Got to go. But if the juice is worth the squeeze and you feel like, have a heart to heart conversation with your partner, whoever you're talking to, in aspects to that, and come to a healthy discussion. Because, like I said, the bedroom situation, while I felt some type of way afterwards, this is the bedroom situation. It was still good. I reflect about it afterwards, where I felt kind of a little dirty on the inside, but it felt good at the time. Hey,
I'm gonna say that sacrifice is not compromise.
yep.
You don't have to sacrifice who you are as an individual to be able to compromise on situations, life, anything in regards to relationship.
That part.
That I want to speak to black men real quick. Um, this is a very sensitive topic for black men, and this is deep seated um, because for a long time in this country, um, you know, we were subdued, and there's always been, the age old sort of idea that the man is the provider. And so during that time when, black people were enslaved in this country, we were not able to provide for our black wives because we were slaves. We were enslaved. We were in chains and shackles. And then after that, after the civil rights movement happened, we had to deal with we still had to deal with Jim Crow. We still had to deal with, so we were still not given equal rights to be able to do something that's innate within us as black men, which is provide for our partner. And then after that, going on after Jim Crow, it's just harder for a black man to be successful in this country, to a point where you feel like you are in a place where you can provide. And again, we talked about that. It's just innate within men to feel like you need to provide. It's something that's innate within us. And so, that being said, to black men who are in relationships with a woman who is demasculating, I think that that is something that's very, very traumatic for black men. Uh, Again, it's something that we've dealt with historically from the very beginning of our history in this country, is the need to feel like a provider. And when we don't have that, or feel like we're not there, we're not able to do that, it's something that's deeply traumatic for black men. And so I want to say, for black men, and to black men that are in relationships with someone who is demasculating you, it's very important that you have those conversations with that person and let that person know how that's making you feel, because it can have long-term effects on that black man. And I've seen this person. I do know someone who was in a relationship with someone who was demasculating them for a long period of time. Telling them, you're not a real man. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't do this. You don't do that. And years after that relationship has ended, that is still affecting that black man. That is still affecting that person. And so you really have to be careful about how you treat the people that you're in a relationship with, and understand that it's a problem for men and women, white, black, whoever. It's a problem. Demasculating is not okay, and defeminization is not okay. But as a black man, I wouldn't feel right ending this conversation without addressing black listeners, because it is something that is so near and dear to us, and we feel like we need to be able to provide for our significant other. So please, have those tough conversations with your significant other if you feel like that's what's happening to you. And if that person isn't changing, or isn't giving you an opportunity to feel like you are providing and doing the role that you feel is needed, then you got to ask yourself, is that where you need to be?
Yes. Thank you so much for bringing back, the ancestral aspect of it, because it really brings to mind for me like ancestral generational trauma. We like to think because we're so far removed from that period of time that it doesn't affect us, but you have to understand that ancestral trauma is in our DNA. That
Yeah.
stuff impacts, I mean, it has been researched and proven, epigenetics, that the things that our ancestors experience alters their DNA, which alters our DNA, right? And we have to be willing to do the work. And when you think about demasculinization, emasculation, as a person of color, going back to that slavery period of time, when you think of the masculine energy, that's protector and provider, right? And problem solver. During slavery times, they couldn't do any of those things, like you said. You couldn't protect your wife from being raped. You couldn't protect your family from being separated. You couldn't provide for your family. That was probably the most emasculating experience
Yes.
ever. And then, like you were talking about, going into welfare. Now we're in this place where people are on welfare, and it's beneficial for you to not have a working man in the house. They're supporting not having the family unit together, the man not being a masculine provider, right? And so there's this generational trauma that is within us that definitely needs to be addressed, but that's a whole another episode. But I appreciate you bringing that up, because it is
Part
definitely
two.
relevant.
We can always do a part two on it, or a whole separate category. Stay tuned, folks. We have more to come.
Yes, it definitely is relevant. But to piggyback off of what you said, for me, emasculation, defeminization, the biggest thing take home for me is that they are perceptions. What is okay for one person might be hurtful to somebody else. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like Achilles said, you have to be able to have those conversations. If somebody does something, whether it's a romantic partnership, a family member, a random person, and it makes you feel some kind of way, being able to speak up and say, when you did this thing, I felt like this thing, this is what I need from you, right? Being able to have those conversations, because that is the only way that we're going to be able to heal and begin to do the work in repairing the relationships that we have with ourselves and with the people around us. So, man, fantastic conversation. I thank both of you, Lisa Marie and Achilles, for coming on and chit-chatting with us, leaning in with us. Mike, you have anything before?
Oh, no. I enjoyed everybody being on the show. This was awesome. And it just felt good to get it all up my chest. Yeah.
Yes. So we invite you all to keep the conversation going in the comments. If there's something that's just really on your heart, feel free to shoot us a message. We'd love to see your thoughts and your stories and your perspectives in the comment section. If you have any suggestions for future episodes, or if you want to pop on and lean in live with us, please let us know.
Please let us know. Come in. Don't be afraid. This is a safe space. You ain't got to say your whole name. You ain't even got to show your face. A lot of people want to basically be kept secret, and then we respect that. We're not calling nobody out.
Achilles.
You know what I mean?
No.
Achilles.
It's just, we're just
But
having
anyway.
a conversation. That's all it is. So we
Really?
appreciate
Really, y'all?
your feedback and are committed
Really.
to making this podcast better with each episode. Until next time.
Thanks, Mr. Wayne, for chiming in. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne.
Yes. Hopefully you're still here. Anyways, bye.
Bye.
Peace.